On the first ever episode of Prattlefield, watch Fred and Anki battle it out against Western perception of Indians and India. Hey! Oh god, I wish I was a guy sometimes. That would have sounded way cooler if I was a girl.
Yeah, because we don't have like
That
naturally
deep
voice.
voice. Okay, so Anki, I'm going to walk you through a situation kind of vibe, okay?
Yes.
I want you to close your eyes.
Okay.
Okay? You're on a stage.
Okay.
A theater stage, right? Curtains up, spotlights on, and in walks this horn-helmeted thug. He grabs you, rips your heart out, and offers it to Ma Kali.
Oh god.
He's now our villain.
Of course.
Right? Now imagine this being one of the first huge representations of India after Gandhi, Ben Kingsley's Gandhi in the West. This thug, Aram, of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, he's played by Amrish Puri, no less. He set the stage for Indian characters for years to come, right?
Yeah.
Even during the filming of the movie, when the Indian government and the Indian people, they like started protesting saying, bro, what the hell? Like, this is super offensive and completely inaccurate, and none of us actually do this. Bro, like, who eats monkey brains? Not us.
Oh god, yeah.
The production team, the film's production team, instead of choosing to, like, understand and, like, fix the issues or even, like, ditch production overall, because honestly, what the hell? They simply packed their bags and moved production to Sri Lanka. Like, that was their solution to this. Exactly that.
Yeah, very unsurprising though. But at the same time, I guess, like, we should, like, count our blessings, because at least they cast an Indian actor and, like, Amrish Puri at that. Before that it was just like brown face, like Peter
Casually.
Sellers, but just casually, like Peter Sellers' brown face and his, like, lampoonish antics in the party and the millionaires,
And what's her name? That woman?
Shirley MacLaine. Yeah.
In Around the World in 80 Days. Bro, this is exactly why we're stuck being stereotyped as unhygienic, poor, arranged marriage savages.
Yeah.
This whole we should count our blessings and misrepresentation is better than no representation mentality.
Yeah.
This is the reason.
That's so depressing, that mentality.
It is.
Yeah, and I mean, like, all of our, like, the stereotypes, it's all the same everywhere, like, Indians don't speak good English and we have a weird accent and we're all curry eating gassy weirdos and we're all, like, mystical and yoga doing and deity worshipping, and we all live in poverty and we crawl through literal shit to see celebrities like Amitabh Bachchan. Slumdog Millionaire. and somehow we're always, like, so proud also of, like, just, at any point if they even, like, mention the word India in, like, a Western film, or, they actually, like, oh my god, like, they came to our land and shot on our soil, that's such a thing to be so proud of. And we just ignore, like, the rest of it because we're just so happy that, at least we're getting represented.
Honestly, like, take Apu, what's his name from The Simpsons? Anki, pronounce his last name challenge.
Oh god. Nahasa.
So we have we have his name in our notes, like, written down, and honestly I can't do it, so Anki, you are.
I can't do it either. Nahasa Pima Petilan. I don't know how to pronounce it, and I'm a Tambram, and I've seen, like, very, very long names, like, in my own family. Like, my grandfather's name is Muthukrishnan Venkata Subramaniam, and, like, I can't pronounce this name after being able to pronounce that one. So this is, like, it's just horrible.
Bro. Like, honestly, Apu, what with his tacky accent, unpronounceable last name, and slick back, oiled hair. Let's not forget the fact that he literally runs a convenience store.
Yeah, so original. Such a different thing for an Indian in America to do.
America, UK, bro, take DDLJ, honestly. He also runs
yeah. Oh my god, yeah, I forgot about that.
Amrish Puri only.
Oh yeah.
Boy, I swear to boy, I say. Man, R.I.P. sir. you are missed. But it's sad, it's sad because going back to Indiana Jones, I love Indiana Jones so much, dude. Even as a kid, like so much so that I wanted to be an archaeologist so badly for so long. Shout out Sanskriti, she knows what's up. I must have seen Temple of Doom about 1,000,000 times as a child. But it wasn't until I became like a teenager, 13, 14ish, that I actually realized to the Western eye, to Indiana, to Harrison Ford, I was one of those savages that they showed in that film, though. And like, even though they know that's not true, that's the stereotype there. It's not even a stereotype, honestly, but like, that's the image they're like perpetuating, right? That's what we are to them. And let me tell you, Anki, dramatic as it is, because I know you'll call me out on this, it broke my damned heart.
Oh, that's damn sad and also very dramatic. That being said, we're going to start off with a movie that Fred made me watch.
I'm sorry. From the bottom of my heart, I am.
Yeah, and it's seen as the benchmark of like amazing Indian representation done really well. And it was a film that was applauded by audiences and critics all over the world, even including India, very surprisingly, at the time that it came out. Now, of course, people are, realizing that it's not what it is, but at that point, it was applauded. And it was nominated for 10 Oscars and it won 8 of those Oscars. And which is like amazing, like even for like today or for any point in time, winning 8 Oscars is insane.
One film.
Yeah, and the movie, of course, is Slumdog Millionaire, which we've already, talked about a little bit. And Freddie, you owe me a huge apology for making me watch this movie.
Sorry. Okay, listen, hang on. So here's the deal, right? I watched this film when it first came out. Oh, in Hindi, no less. We watched Slumdog Crorepati.
Oh, God.
Dude, the thing is, I'm so traumatized from that till date. I remember the entire film. I was a child. How old was I? Hang on, I'm going to quickly Google this.
It came out in 2009 or 8.
2008. I was 6 years old and I still remember this film. The entirety of this film. Danny Boyle, screw you. But yeah. Go on. Yep. I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Yes, you should also. And anyway, like I took multiple breaks. It was maybe around a couple of hours long, but I took like 4 or 5 hours to finish watching it because I was getting pissed off with like every scene. Progressively more and more pissed off. I had to take breaks so that I didn't like break my laptop screen. And it disgusted me to like my core, okay? Because first of all, you look at the title of the movie. It's called Slumdog Millionaire. They're literally calling him a slumdog. And it's so derogatory to call someone a slumdog. Like, why? Why name the movie that? Like, maybe people are using that word and maybe people are calling people from the slums that. But you don't have to make it seem like that's normal and make it seem like it's okay to call someone that. Like, that's not alright. And then, one of the first scenes of the movie, when he goes back to, I think the question was something like, who was... I just realized I didn't actually, give the summary of the movie. Basically, the movie is a rags to riches story of this guy from the slums in Mumbai, and the story is that he goes to like this one of those those shows which are like Kaun Banega Crorepati, like Western version, which is Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and basically he gets like almost every answer right, and they start suspecting like a boy from the slums, how does he know the answer to every question, and they think he might be cheating, and they basically rewatch like everything that's happened so far on the show and every question, and he goes back to a certain point in his childhood and to traumatic experiences that he has experienced in his life in poverty, through which he knows the answers to all these questions. So I think one of the first questions they asked was, who was the actor in Zanjeer or something, who played the character in Zanjeer, and he goes back to this point in his childhood where Amitabh Bachchan comes in his helicopter over those slums or something, and he's locked inside like a bathroom in that scene, and he's the bathrooms in the slums are not like regular bathrooms. There's like a hole, and basically they do their stuff like in through the hole in the whatever, and it falls onto the ground and all that. It's pretty it's pretty gross, but that's the way it is. And because he's locked inside the bathroom, and because he knows that Amitabh Bachchan's there, and like that's like his hero and everything, he falls into the hole and crawls through the shit and all that stuff just to see Amitabh Bachchan. And it's like, why do you need to show that? Like, what are you getting out of it? Like, what's it telling you? And it just perpetuates
that Indians are poor and Indians would do anything to see big rich people.
Exactly. And it also perpetuates this ideal that people who live in poverty are unclean and disgusting. And it's just, it's so harmful to the way they're perceived all over the world. It's really, really bad. And, a whole bunch of these scenes which are completely, it's just poverty porn at the end of the day. It's just what Western audiences want to see. Oh, and there was this horrible, like, really thing that irritated me so much. So this is like this part where they're like conning people in the Taj Mahal to earn money, and they pretend to be tour guides and they're stealing people's shoes and everything. And this one security guy from the Taj Mahal, he chases them, and this the main character Jamal, he is he's saved by these white people who say that, oh my god, you should never treat someone like that, and they give him like $100 bill, and again, it's like this whole white savior thing that's incorporated into this movie again.
Oh god, of course it is. It's the white people then help us all as poor brown black.
Yep, and I could talk about this forever, but let's move on to another horrible representation.
Oh, my turn. It's my turn.
This time it's my turn to apologize.
I won't go so far to say that, because honestly I didn't bother watching the whole thing. And we're talking about White Tiger. It came out this year, didn't it?
Jan this year, yes.
Oh my god. What was the reason? I couldn't get past the first half hour, dude. I literally couldn't watch. And honestly, okay, here's the deal, right? Anki and I started watching Slumdog and White Tiger at the same time, okay? And Anki's braving through Slumdog, okay? First half hour and I'm out. I texted him and I'm like, bro, I'm done. Like, I cannot go on. I tried after that. I stared at the static screen for a while after that. Couldn't muster up the courage to do it, because honestly, let's walk you through this. The movie opens with these 5 things in order. I swear to you, this is exactly how it goes if you haven't seen it already. And if you have, honestly, you probably remember this. Gandhi statue. First shot, Gandhi statue.
The only thing white people know about India.
Gandhi.
The
second thing is driver on the wrong side of the road. Number 3 is cow.
Cow.
Number 4 is poor people on the side of the road. And
this is the middle of the night, by the way.
Yeah. Middle of the night. Honestly, like papa, because they sat on the side of the road in Delhi winter. And then number 5, a mention of the millions of gods that we have in India.
Yep.
To be exact, I think he says 36,000,004. 4 being from other religions apart from Hinduism. And you know who wrote this book? The book that inspired the film. A goddamn Dariga. Bro, why did I say it like that? Adiga, that's what I meant to say. Honestly, oh yikes, it's raining.
Yes.
I'm going to have a field day taking that audio out.
It's fine, actually. There's honestly, not too much disturbance.
This Adiga, by the way, Indian Australian man. Screw you, NRIs. You are a part of this problem. Go on then.
Yep.
Since I didn't watch, I don't have much insight after this, so I think you're going to have to take this one again.
Yeah, so I think there was this article which where they basically asked people who've actually experienced poverty. Again, this is another small, really poor guy from the village comes to the city to make it big. He's employed by this really wealthy political family, and it's basically the differences that he sees over there and how he struggles to fit in the big city and all that. Basically, that's the basic theme of this entire movie. And he keeps making all these analogies and everything, and one of the main analogies that he makes is that poor people in India are like chickens in a rooster coop. Okay, basically the roosters in the rooster coop, so the chickens in the rooster coop, they see what's happening to the other chicken. Like, like it's like a up-down kind of thing. You see the ones on the top are picked out and slaughtered, and all the other like chickens, they see what's happening, but they don't try to escape. They don't, make a big deal out of it. They don't like flap every. I mean, that's what he's saying. I don't even know if this is actually how it is, but that's the analogy that he makes. And he says that poor people in India are like that. They are. They just don't. They see other poor people getting, oppressed and everything, and they themselves are getting oppressed, and they see bad things happening to other people, but they don't do anything to break out of the system. And in an article which spoke to people who've actually experienced poverty, how they feel about the movie, one of them says that this this theme and this analogy is really offensive and insulting, and because it dehumanizes the poor people, and it basically implies
it's basically they're calling them chicken brains.
Yeah, exactly. And they're basically saying that anyone who's born poor or born in poverty is basically subservient and like servile, and they will never try anything and they will never do anything, basically. And it's like he at one point, spoiler alert, at one point he kills his employer to get money and to escape and make it big, and he never feels any remorse about it, because it basically lets him sort of like transcend this whole cycle of poverty. And the person that they spoke to, she felt like it was a really dangerous message, and it's something that like sort of detracts from like the years of like untiring effort that people have put in to sort of improve the lives of these people. It just shows them like the wrong way out, and it makes it seem like this is what they should be doing. And also sad. My biggest problem with this movie was that it made it look like caste and class in India is exactly the same thing.
Oh god.
It's like, I think what he says is
about this all day.
Yeah, I think the exact line he uses is that today there are only two castes in India, men with big bellies and men with small bellies, and that's not how it is. There are so many issues. It's like a systemic problem. You can't just like say that caste and class are the same thing and club them together. And so that's basically why this movie is horrible. And again, we can talk about this forever, but let's move on.
Bro, yeah. What's next? Oh, Apu from The Simpsons. Let's go back to him for a second.
Yes.
Let's talk about the way he speaks and behaves. He uses what people so like Anki and I have researched for this podcast, okay, so like little credit please. but basically he uses what people have called patanking, okay, the whole thank you, come again thing, okay?
Yeah.
And like on so there was this documentary made on it was broadcast by this American channel called True TV, and it's called The Problem with Apu, right? There's this woman, Sakina Jaffrey. She describes patanking as being asked to speak in a broad Indian accent with broad general acting, right? Basically doing the Indian head nod and speaking like this. Like, name one person you've heard ever seen or heard do that.
I haven't. I have not.
Exactly. What Indian? Never, ever. Honestly, the only example I can think of is Trevor Noah. Like in his specials and stuff, when he does an Indian character, he does that. Oh gosh. But exactly, this is it, right? Sakina continues. So patanking is going into a room and having to do that exact thing in front of people, like a monkey. This is a recurring theme we're seeing here, by the way, Indians and monkeys. Like, we do have a lot of monkeys.
Or just in general comparing Indians to like a bunch of animals and birds and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyhow, this documentary that I'm talking about, The Problem with Apu, it's made by this Indian-American comic called Hari Kondabolu. Okay, and he went on to Trevor Noah's show. And Trevor was like, he asked him why brown people are offended by Apu when the Simpsons make fun of everybody, right? Homer, for example, is a poorly educated white man in America. Like, he's a beer-drinking, pot-bellied man.
Yes.
He doesn't know this from that. And basically, what Kondabolu said made a lot of sense. And I'm going to quote him here when I say, because there is a lot of different white characters, but we just had a convenience store guy voiced by a white guy with brown paint. And that's just it. That's the problem with Apu. And it's either this, Or you go back to Indiana Jones, and the only other representation we've had is monkey brain eaters. So it's either convenience store guy or monkey brain eaters.
Yeah. And then going back to even another horrendous example is Raj from The Big Bang Theory. And Raj. Like, what is it with Americans and pronouncing the j in Indian names with like a j? It's not French. It's like you have
Indian language. No Indian language that I can think of has the letter j.
Yeah,
it's a French letter.
Exactly. Like, why? Like, you have your Georges and your Jacks. Why is it so hard for you to say Raj? Raj. Yeah. And also, like, first of all, his name is Rajesh Kutrapalli. And I've never heard anyone, like, shorten Rajesh to Raj in India. I haven't heard that. Maybe it happens. I have never seen that happening. And yeah, okay, great. Let's just say, like, okay, maybe it happens, but I don't know. We'll cut them some slack on that bit, okay? His last name is Kutrapalli, which is a South Indian last name. But he is from New Delhi, which fine. Again, we can excuse. Maybe they migrated, whatever. Mm-hmm. He's in the US now, okay? And the way he talks about India is just... It's so upsetting, okay? Because it's like, the problem that I have with like these American shows is they feel like it's okay for them to be racist if it's coming from a person of color's mouth. Yeah. Like whether it's someone who's like Southeast Asian, or whether it's a South Asian character, or whether it's a black character, they feel like it's all right when it's coming from that person's mouth, when they're the ones saying it, when it's not okay. Like, so much of Raj is like, like whatever his comedy, it's all based on, how
his
India is,
Indianness.
and how India is like so like poor, and he uses that, like he says, oh, I'm such a like a sad boy from like a third world country. Like, he uses that as a way to like pick up women, or as a way to not get fired from his jobs, or like a whole bunch of these situations where he uses that as an excuse to like to get out of situations and to get ahead. And it's just so horrible, because he's not from a place of poverty in India. Like, it's mentioned several times on the show that his parents are gynecologists and they're doing really well. But again, like, even in that thing, they have like like, I think at one point that one, the friend of his, what's his name, Howard, I think his name is, he says something like, your parents are gynecologists, you live in a palace with 100 servants. And it's like, no, even rich people in India don't necessarily have to live in palaces with 100 servants.
God.
Like, even the rich stereotype is like, it's like like you live like kings. So you, like, basically we can never win. Even if they portray us as rich, it's like this. If they portray us as poor, it's like it's two extremes. Okay, not all representations are horrible. So let's come to let's stop being so negative, and let's calm ourselves down in the process, and let's talk about some of the good representations.
Good is a bit far. We'll go with
half decent representation. Because I mean, let's be fair. Every single representation has stereotypes, and every single representation is not completely accurate. But at least some of them are not portraying us as like.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, before we start that, I'm so sorry, but I need to add this part in. Freaking, what's that show with Seema? That arranged marriage show thing on Netflix.
The Indian matchmaking?
Yeah. Oh my god.
I have not watched that. I didn't let myself watch it.
I have seen. I watched one episode. Honestly, what? And also, white people on Twitter went ham over that shit, bro. And I'm like, no, that's not how it works. So, like, Netflix, stop making us look like idiots. Thanks.
Yes.
But yeah, okay.
They probably
going
won't.
back to
Just
the
saying.
But going back to the decent.
Yes.
Let's start with 100-foot journey.
Yes.
You want to take that, Angie?
Yes. Okay. So it's a really cute movie. I actually really like it. It's not completely realistic, because it's about like this Indian family who kind of get kicked out of their homes because of a riot, and they go to Europe. They're like this. They run this small restaurant in, I think, Mumbai, and they go to Europe. They, after like the whole riots and stuff happens and they get kicked out of their homes, they go to Europe to try and find a life there and find like a nice cooking life outside. And they end up in France, and they start their own restaurant in France and stuff. And this I think one of their sons is like this basically like this cooking prodigy and everything. And so basically for the first time it's a movie focused on like Indian cooking, where it does not portray Indian cooking as like this curry, just as curry or like diarrhea inducing garbage. Basically it just it actually looks at like nuances of it, and like it portrays it in a nice way. And even the characters are like like nice and like rounded, and they're not just stereotypes. There are stereotypes obviously, but it's not just that, and it's a nice portrayal. Again, the movie is not realistic, and it's very fairy tale like, and it's very like it's not
Next one would be A Suitable Boy. It's set in the 50s, so you can tell that we're really reaching to find decent examples. Still, the Brits have done us more justice than the Americans, so we'll take it. Oh, there's a beetle on my laptop. But honestly, great cast, great writing, decent direction. I expected more from Meera Nair, but this is not a movie review. It was produced by the BBC, and it portrays an accurate depiction of the time. Source being my grandparents. It revolves around arranged marriage, and it's true, bro. Arranged marriage does exist in this country, and contrary to popular belief, it happens more often, like in the show, than not. And like obviously there are times when people are forced into marriage, and it's super sad, and it does happen. But that's not the norm, right? Especially in the north, it hasn't been for literally since independence. But it's more like blind dating, as what they've shown in the series. What with like Lata, the main character, meeting all these men and choosing and finally choosing the one she thought would be the suitable boy for her, right? And like it makes sense, although like Anki did tell me that stuff like this does happen a lot more often than I assumed it was, and obviously that's my privilege speaking. But
and stuff like this, as in arranged marriage without
correct. But like you get the point, right? What I'm trying to say here is it's normal for arranged marriages to happen with the consent of both parties involved, right?
Yeah,
people are into it, bro. Like people, they're okay with getting married.
Yeah, and in today's times, it's not even like you just like meet for the first time at your wedding or anything like that. It's like today you get to spend time with them and actually get to know them before you decide whether or not you want to marry them. So it's quite like blind dating. And there are still quite a few places where this doesn't happen, like maybe in the poorer sections and stuff. It doesn't happen like that even till today. But I like in the urban population, that's pretty much the norm today, even in South India, but much less in South India than in North India. But it still happens, and it's becoming more of the norm.
Oh yeah, the other main character of the show, he's called Man Kapoor. His whole thing is that he falls in love with a much older courtesan played by Tabu. And Man's dad, right, Mahesh Kapoor, he's a politician. And he's a liberal politician in right-wing India. Okay, India has been right-wing from the start of,
yes, of
independent
course.
India. But also, this is the real India, dude. We do have liberal people here. We do have liberal politicians. And the only reason it can be called a right-wing country is because more often than not, the ruling party is right-wing.
Yeah.
Right? And that's because India's voting population is obviously like it's people above the age of 18, and people tend to be liberals when they're younger. And basically the idea is that India is not a right-wing country. We are not all conservative. We're not all, all into like cover up every last inch of yourself and like, wear a veil and wear saris all the time. That it's not a thing. It's not a thing. Even with men, like not all men just. In fact, like I can barely name men who wear kurtas all the time and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the thing we're just trying to convey here is that Indians are not all either conservatives, or Indians are not all either tech literate these things, phone call centers, operators.
Yes.
We're not all that, right? And it's just sad that we're being forced into that, but I'm glad there are shows, there are films that show you the other side of things.
Yeah. Okay.
Do we have other examples of good ones?
No.
Oh no, that Netflix show.
No, I'm not mentioning that actually.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll cut this out.
Yeah. Okay. Fred, do you have closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts.
Good news, everyone. We've come to the end of our rant.
Yeah, come on. They like listening.
Yes, they better have liked listening to us.
You better have. But no, closing thoughts.
Portraying it as such does nothing to improve the situation of people who are living in that situation.
Yes,
and
exactly that.
It just perpetuates this ideology that India is all poor and India is all gross and disgusting, and it basically does nothing to help, and it's unnecessary. That's
a lot of waffling, but that's what this is, right?
We're
rattling.
Yes,
that's the idea of this podcast, and that's it. That closes up our episode. Unless, Anki, do you have anything else to add?
Just pretty much what you said. We just want a good representation. We want a nice holistic representation of what India is like.
Holistic.
Yes. No more poverty porn. No more no more stereotyping. Just give us nice wholesome characters. We have feelings, we have emotions. It's not just all, poverty and all that. Just be better, do better.
Yeah.
Give us a better representation. That's it.
That's all. And have more brown writers in the writing.
Yes, absolutely. Have more brown writers.
Like brown writers who've lived in India, please.
Yes. If you're going to make a movie set in India, about India, have Indian brown writers. Please.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening to us. Bye-bye.
Thank you for supporting. Bye.
Yeah, thank you for supporting our podcast.
Yes. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Enough.